In the Heart of the Word, reflections by Father Joseph Mary, SCTJM, on the daily readings from the Holy Mass, Sunday of the 23rd week of Ordinary Time.
God bless you, dear family. Today in the Heart of the Word, the Scriptures speak to us about love of neighbor. St. Paul says in his letter to the Romans, love of neighbor fulfills the Torah. Love of neighbor includes what the Church calls fraternal correction. If a brother or sister is in grave sin, with charity, humility, and mercy, we should speak to them so that they may be reconciled with God, and if possible with us. In the Gospel, Jesus says, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have won over your brother. If he does not listen, take one or two others along with you. If he refuses to listen, tell the church. Speak to those with the religious authority who may be able to help him. If he still does not listen, pray for him. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in their midst. There may be nothing harder than to speak with someone we love about their reconciliation with God. But the Scriptures tell us we have a responsibility to speak. According to the prophet Ezekiel in our first reading, we cannot remain silent. Jesus is basing his teaching on the Jewish biblical practice of the riv, which means to plead your case in Hebrew. The riv differs from traditional Greco-Roman civil justice. In civil justice, the plaintiff takes someone to court. They accuse the other person of a crime or fault, making their case to the judge. Then the judge hears the case and rules to protect the plaintiff. As a result, the rights of the plaintiff are restored and the defendant is punished. So, the accusation, justice, and punishment. The riv works differently. God asks us to be reconciled first in our heart, then to bring this reconciliation into our relationships, into the sphere of civil justice. The first step then is to forgive our neighbor in the name of God. Forgiveness is the first step because God has forgiven us. Second, we bring our case to God, the just judge, asking for his justice, not to condemn our neighbor, but to ask for his good, for his conversion and salvation. Then, reconciled with God and our neighbor in our heart, we speak to our brother. We bring the justice of God to them. God's justice is the cross, the perfect love of neighbor, which fulfills the Torah. Whereas the process of civil justice is to accuse, to judge, and to punish, the process of the riv is forgiveness, prayer, and reconciliation. Justice in the kingdom of God begins with forgiveness. Thank God. Let us listen to these words of Mother Adela. The fruit of the prayerful reading of the Gospel is to grow in a greater intimacy and familiarity with Christ and His Word. To live in intimacy with the Gospel is to live like Our Lady and to see as they do. All for the heart of Jesus, through the heart of Mary.